And thank you for the wonderful audience for joining us today. So, before we begin, I do want to do a quick land acknowledgement. We are gathered on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. As we discuss food, dignity, and belonging, today I am reminded that food is deeply connected to culture, identity, community, and our sense of home. I offer my gratitude to the Algonquin Anishinaabe people and their ongoing stewardship of this land, and I welcome everyone joining us for this conversation. And I do ask, if you are not speaking, please mute so that we don't hear typings and maybe some chatter in the background. Thank you very much. And just give me a quick second. I'll just we have many people trying to join us. I'll just let them in. Okay, awesome. Before I begin with the questions, I think it's only fair to allow our speakers the platform to be introduced. Now, I will be introducing Abby, the ED of Nutrition Blocs, who is with us today, and as well as the wonderful Moe, the ED of Just Food. So I'll do the bios of our two speakers. But Miss Maram, who is our client, we are keeping personally identifiable information of hers anonymous. Her camera will remain off, and she would like to do the bio of her by herself. So, Miss Maram, the floor is all yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you. First of all, I would say hello for everyone and thank you for inviting me to participate today. My name is Maram and I'm a dentist. I came to Canada from Gaza about 9 months ago. Before coming to Canada, I worked as a general dentist in a Gaza at medical center with a professional team of dentists. I enjoyed helping patients and serving my community. Because of the war, my family and I went through very difficult circumstances and had to leave behind our home, our work, and our life we had built for ourselves. Coming to Canada meant starting over and rebuilding our lives from the beginning. So, as newcomers, we faced many challenges while adapting to a new country and a new system. To be honest, during that time, support from organization, especially like Food Deliver, was very important to us and help my family feel welcomed and supported. Because of my personal and my professional experiences, I understand how important access is to basic needs is, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share my perspective today. So, thank you for inviting me to give at least briefly feedback about this organization as Food Deliver. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for sharing this, Ms. Maram, and we empathize with your situation as a medical professional, and we're going to speak more on this. Next is my good friend Abby. Abhijit Potdar is a nonprofit executive, a social entrepreneur, and the founder of Nutrition Blocs, an Ottawa-based charity with a vision to eradicate food insecurity for all school-aged children in Ottawa. His vision is to create a future in Ottawa whereby every child can receive the nutrition they need to succeed, thereby enhancing community health and fostering a culture of wellness. Originally from Mumbai, India, Abby immigrated to Canada in late 2017 and has called Ottawa home ever since. Leading with compassion and empathy, Abby has worked in the nonprofit sector for over 25 years in the US, India, and now in Canada. Abby enjoys networking and collaborating with other professionals, community leaders, and social organizations in the city, and strongly believes in finding collaborative solutions to social problems and creating a sustainable collective impact. Abby, welcome to today's panel discussion.
Thank you, Ali.
Thank you. And next we have Moe. Moe Garahan is the executive director of Just Food. She has worked on food and farming issues since 1995, supporting community food initiatives, access, and food system change across Ottawa and beyond. Since 2024, she has led Just Food's work connecting food access and local food systems in the Algonquin, Ottawa region. I could talk a lot more, Mo, about Mo, but Mo has specifically asked me to keep her bio short, so I have to stop here. But you have many stars of achievements. So welcome to today's discussion. Thank you. All right. Okay. Perfect. So let's jump right in, and I just wanted to remind everybody that let's try to keep the answers to about 2 minutes or less per question, and I won't be asking every question from everyone, but if some of the questions spur some thoughts that you would like to contribute to, and I haven't asked you directly, feel more than free to contribute. Would be more than happy to listen to your perspectives. And so the first question is for all three of you. When you hear the phrase food support with dignity, what does it mean to you? And maybe I'll let Ms. Maram to start us off.
Yeah, to me, food support with dignity means helping people access the food they need while treating them with respect, kindness, and understanding. No one should feel like ashamed or judged for asking for a help. And because, like, as in my case, as a newcomer from Gaza, I know that me and there's many families can go through very difficult circumstances that are beyond our and their control, of course. So when support is offered in respectful way, it gives many people more. It gives them more than food. It gives them like hope, reassurance during this difficult time. So dignity also means, for me, giving people choices whenever possible, and recognizing that every family has different needs, preferences, and experiences. So this is in my opinion that when I just hear dignity, I feel it's offering food with respectful way.
Thank you very much for that answer. What about you, Abby?
Well, thank you, Ali, and thank you, Ms. Maram, for getting us started. And Ali, I really commend you for getting this forum together. What does food dignity in food support mean? For me, if we can find a way to eliminate the word support from food support, so it doesn't feel that you're providing a support when people are accessing those food programs. If there was a way to get the feeling that they've been supported, I think that's one of the biggest way to add dignity to these services. What I mean by that is when we think of some of our public programs across the city, whether you look at public schools, whether you look at hospitals, whether you look at boarding a OC Transpo bus, um, public parks, places of worship, when you enter those places, there is no feeling of whether I come from a certain class, whether I am poor, I am rich. You're accessing those service stigma free. But when you look at food support programs, there is clearly that huge difference between the haves and the have-nots, right? When you and I think about getting groceries, we go to a grocery store. When people who cannot afford to get that, they think of lining outside a building with their neighbors, where somebody's going to hand them a box of food and tell them this is what you're going to eat this month. They don't get to choose when they go to that program. It's a certain day and certain time of the day. So if we can find a way to eliminate that part where person accessing the program doesn't feel like they've been handing they're being supported in a way, or we're adding that element of a handout to them. So that's what it means for me, bringing dignity to any kind of programs, whether it's food programs or any other public programs.
Very well said. Thank you, Abhi. Mo, go ahead.
Thanks so much, Ellie, for that nice introduction and sharing this space with all of you. And this starting out with this really important question. And I want to build upon what both Abhi and Maram have said, Mrs. Maram, in the sense that since the 1980s, coast to coast to coast here, we have had a narrative that is about food banking. So the entire story has been, if you need some food, if you're hungry today, if your family's hungry today, you go to the food bank. If you find one that's open. If you're wanting to do something about people being hungry, then you donate or volunteer at a food bank. And that's been the full story. But what we know is that when any one person in our community is hungry, we are as a whole community dealing with food insecurity. It's a social problem, and it involves us sharing our knowledge, our skills, our food, our money, our land, our long-term solutions to build good food for all. And our definition of good food is food that is affordable, that is accessible, that's culturally relevant, and that could be by faith, by diet, by celebration, that it's fresh or minimally processed, that it's as local as possible. Of course, we trade our extras, but that we are able to eat good food that is as locally produced as possible, that it's ecologically produced within the planetary boundaries so that we will have good food with dignity for the next 7 generations, and that it's within sustainable livelihoods. So that it's about sharing. It's not about handouts. I'm going to call out too, it's not about client relationships. It's about all of us building community together. We're community members, hand in hand, working together for good food to exist for all.
Absolutely. Very powerful response. Thank you. Now, the next question takes us to kind of digging a bit deeper. Ms. Maram, I'd like to again start with you. What barriers do you believe newcomer families face when accessing food support that organizations may not always see or understand? And then I'll ask for your perspectives, Mo.
Yes. I think many newcomer families face challenges that are not always visible, like language barriers. It can make it difficult to understand what services are available and how to access them. And actually, this is I have this experience with many of my friends from Gaza, especially. They are not able to like speak English well. They couldn't be able even to contact and always asking for translator or something. So there is like the language barrier. I feel it is the most challenging challenges that face them. They don't know even how to access them. Another thing, in my opinion, also I feel it's a challenge is the transportation. Transportation can be a challenge, especially during the first months after arriving. Like in my situation, in my case, sometimes if you want to go to like food banks, just to give a like example, I feel that it's far away from my apartment or my address, so I feel that it will not be able for me. So I never go there. So, in addition, also many newcomers are dealing with, stress and emotional impact of leaving their home and communities behind. So I understand how overwhelming it can be to rebuild, in life, our life, while as also trying to meet basic needs. So some families are also feel uncomfortable asking, for help because of pride, cultural differences, or fear of being judged. Yeah, so I feel this is the most challenges that may face us like as a newcomer.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for your input. In fact, just quickly, I wanted to plug this in that according to Food Banks Canada's own report, 54%, one of the biggest barriers that clients needing food support have shared is the feeling of shame. That's
Yes,
54% of
yes,
respondents.
yes,
So
yeah.
very well said, Mrs. Mara. Mo, go right ahead. Your mute and your video is frozen.
Is my video not on?
It's good now.
Okay, so sorry. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mrs. Maram, for starting that out and saying those critical issues. As a white leader in the food system, I also really want to identify racism, colonialism, and discrimination are real factors that many newcomers, in addition to residents who are living here already, experience in real, tangible, daily ways, which is soul crushing. And that is something that can be experienced by the children, by the adults, and really factors in to the ways that we're able to communicate with each other and work together. So in addition to some of those language stresses where newcomers are often the ones that are meant to try to speak in French and English, as opposed to people finding other ways through Google Translate or other means to really try to meet in the middle around language, to support through interpretation resources, which are costly, but we do need to find ways through volunteerism, through paid work to bridge that language gap. It's so stressful when that inability is there to share some of the pressures that a family is experiencing, or an individual who may also be feeling acute isolation from leaving, from the trauma of many very challenging exits from countries. Things as fundamental as different concepts of time. So needing to struggle to bring yourself, maybe a family member, on a bus, walking to get to an appointment on time, where you have a lot of barriers against you to make that time slot. And then I just want to talk about food literacy as a real issue when any of us go to new climates, to new lands, to new cultures. Where do we buy food? We've often been told that in many other communities, the corner stores where you buy your fresh produce and your most freshest foods for the family, and that's not the case coast to coast to coast here. People's interest in growing food is not really brought to the forefront in a lot of organizations that are working with newcomer families, where there may be an interest in growing one's own food, but there might need to be sort of knowledge around how to do such in a smaller, shorter, colder season, or where you could access locally grown food. So a real range of issues that are faced that deeply affect the ability to build food security in a new community.
Absolutely. I just want to ask a quick follow-up question, Mo, based on what you said. So, for example, do organizations such as Just Food provide education in terms of once someone is relocated to a place, say in Canada, that has a completely different environment per se than what they left their previous home? Is there any form of educational opportunities for them to learn how to carry on that farming expertise and knowledge here on this land?
Yeah, I think we have to be so careful that food literacy or education opportunities are meeting people where they're at, because I find sometimes educational opportunities can be very paternalistic in the sense of, we need to learn how to save money. Well, no, actually, there's there's an inability for a family that might be existing on minimum wage or social assistance to actually effectively meet housing and food needs. And that's been documented every year by public health in Ottawa to show the variance of minimum incomes and effectively paying for rent and food. So I appreciate you talking about the growing food side, and absolutely people are able to participate in the community gardening network. There's thousands of people who would like to grow food here in Algonquin, Ottawa, and we have thousands of acres across NCC lands and other lands, and we really would love everyone to work together and support the push for opening up these lands to grow food, because there's so many skills of many new Canadians coming in who would love to pass those skills on to their children as well and grow culturally relevant foods that can be grown here. So we do have support to understand a bit more about the season here and the soils here and the markets here for people that are interested in selling. And doing such in a way that we hope is meeting people where they're at and their interests.
I'm sure that topic alone is a whole different panel discussion that could last easily a couple of hours. I could ask you a lot more questions. Thank you for that. So we'll move on. Next question is for Ms. Maram and Abhi. I'll start with you, Abhi. How do you believe that we can support programs? How can food support programs respect a family's culture, preferences, privacy, and sense of belonging? You're mute. Sorry.
6 years after COVID, we are still on your mute. Ms. Maram, thank you so much for bringing up accessibility and accessing these programs, right? And again, I'm a newcomer, relatively speaking. I came here about 8.5 years ago, and we did not have a car for almost the first 9 months. And I exclusively depended on public transportation. We came here November of 2017, and the first 4 months were really tough for us, coming into that minus 30, minus 40, and buses did not run on time. When it comes to community food programs, I think a lot of times we mistake availability with accessibility and affordability. We mistake equality with equity. And that is why you see so many food banks and food cupboards, because I guess people think that the more food banks we have make available, that somehow people can have access to it. And you see most of these food banks run the exact same way, cookie cutter model. And we mistake that by providing a box of food to a family, that somehow that's going to meet their cultural needs. So I think we need to kind of look at how food programs are designed, not from a systemic perspective, what is easy for an organization, but really move into a design-centric model and to see what is more accessible, equitable, for the person that is receiving those services. So that is how I look at, I will talk about Nutrition Blocs. When we started about 6 years ago during COVID, that's precisely what we wanted to do. We want to make sure that our programs are available, accessible, culturally appropriate, and we are providing them with dignity. One of the first programs we designed in 2020 was a grocery box program for ethnocultural seniors. During COVID, as we all know, seniors were the most vulnerable groups, but ethnocultural seniors were even having more tough time because they had language barriers, they couldn't drive, they had other barriers to access food programs. And that is why we said, instead of depending on a food bank model, why not create a program where we put together an ethnocultural grocery box, and we worked with 5 different ethnic communities or ethnocultural communities, and we created a curated box for each of those communities, which we were delivering to them on a bi-weekly basis. At some point, we did realize, both from a sustainability perspective, but also from a dignitive perspective, there were some seniors were not very comfortable receiving that box for no cost. And so we said, how about we added a small fee? So even though the fee would probably not cover the cost of the box, but the fact that those seniors were paying into that program gave them that feeling that I'm buying this for myself and my family, and I'm getting the value is much higher than what I'm getting. So I think, we think about charitable programs as free all the time, but sometimes when you charge a small amount, it does give families that dignity that I am buying this. So just to add a different perspective, when we design programs, sometimes free is not always charitable.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love the grocery box idea that you initiated, whereby you take the food to where the clients are, as opposed to expecting clients to go to where the food is,
Right.
which is essentially our model as well.
Right. And Ali, if I just have another 30 seconds. So currently our Nutrition Blocks is exclusively focusing on children. And the way we deliver, we run 3 flagship programs. We run school lunches for children living in shelters. We run an after school program in different communities. And then next week, we're going to launch a summer program. All our programs are delivered to where children gather. So these are natural spaces where they expect, when they get a meal at a summer camp, it doesn't feel like charity. It's like, oh, I'm attending an all-day camp and the camp is providing a meal, where every single child, irrespective of their economic or family background, is getting the exact same meal. And children don't see that as, well, that child is getting it for free and I'm paying for it. They don't see that. So I guess that is where I believe you can add more dignity by serving programs or delivering programs where it's a natural place to receive them.
It's amazing, wonderful. All the power to you. I hope Nutrition Blocks only expands from this point on. It's such an amazing and necessary program that you're offering to the future of Canadians. And what about you, Ms. Maram?
Thank you. Yeah, in addition to what Mr. Abi said, yeah, it's a good, suggestion or idea. I can say that how can food support programs respect families by recognizing that people come from different cultures, of course, and backgrounds. So they offering culturally appropriate food options and considering dietary needs. This can make like a big difference for them. I also say that it's very important for all of us, or for the families, the privacy, because families should feel comfortable receiving support without feeling, embarrassed or exposed. So creating like welcoming environment where people feel respected and included, it helps build a sense of belonging. And when families feel understood and valued, they are more likely to connect with their community and access support when they need it. So it will give it's like friendly environment. They have another family, they have another new friends that and make the connect between them easier. So I think this is in my opinion. So yeah.
Beautifully said. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to the next question. This question is for all our panelists. We could start with whoever wants to go first. What would a truly dignity first approach, considering everything that you have shared with us today, look like in this community, in Ottawa? What would it look like? What would a dignity first approach, in your opinion, look like?
So Ali, I'll just chime in. I think I've covered some of these topics, but really, like, I think it comes with a basic appreciation of the changing demographics in the city. I'm been here about 8.5 years, but I'm pretty sure the city looks a lot different to me in the last 8 years. But folks that have been here for 20, 30, 50, all their life, they've seen that transition. And we are seeing a lot more immigrants making Ottawa home. 9 years ago when I came here, the first question I got is, why did you come to Ottawa? Do you work for the government, right? Because it was unheard of that anyone would choose to come to Ottawa if you didn't work for the federal government. But that is changing now, right? More and more newcomers are coming, and some of them are not as fortunate as my family was, and they do depend on some of these public programs, social programs rather, and to understand, this is for the community leaders that run these organizations. These are for the policymakers. To make sure that we recognize the changing demographic, the needs of these communities. When we started programming with children, one of the first things I realized was the lack of ethnocultural food choices, whether it's through the food banks or through other programs in the city, the lack of halal options. A lot of families would not access a service if there was an anxiety around if the food is halal or not. So we made a decision early on that every single meal that Nutrition Blocks will serve is going to be halal by default, whether the family needs it or not. We did not want to exclude anyone. And we just said, let's take the anxiety out, and let's just say we serve 10,000 meals every month. Every single one of them, one is halal. Two, all our menus are ethnically diverse. So we introduce, I'm from India, we serve butter chicken, but we also serve food from Middle East. We serve Latin food, African food. We want to create as many diverse menus or include as many diverse menus in our offering, because, it brings kids together. When a group of 10 kids are sitting together and, somebody doesn't recognize a certain food and somebody says, hey, this is a food from my mom makes at home, and that starts a new conversation, right? And that's what I believe in creating programs that are bringing dignity in the program by understanding that we have diversity in our communities.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well said. And I just wanted to add a side note to your response that food deliverer, we have our mandate based on making sure that everything we provide is culturally appropriate. One of the reasons that we do that is because our second mandate is to limit Canada's CO2 emissions due to food waste. And what is sometimes not looked at is when you give a standard food hamper to everybody, regardless of their background, well, a family coming, say, from Mexico, receiving Middle Eastern items, they have no idea what to do with it. They might not be aware. So they might actually then, and it might end up, being wasted. So that's also extremely important. I'll go to Moe and Dr. Maram.
I will just add, so the question, what's a truly dignity first approach to food support look like in our community? So first, I would like to acknowledge that all of us are on Indigenous lands, unless we're 100% Indigenous, that we all came to these lands at some point as a newcomer. And so true dignity first would mean that we all understand ourselves as treaty people with responsibilities for right relations. And that does include sort of factoring in our responsibilities as newcomers to this land, whether it's last week or a few generations ago. And we've talked about it already, and I appreciate the opportunity to say, not looking at food support, but changing that to food sovereignty. And what we need is a food strategy embedded at all levels of government, here locally in Ottawa, at the provincial level, at the federal level, that embeds food sovereignty as a concept, so that we're focusing on food, on self-sufficiency, not support, but self-sufficiency, so that households can make decisions about if we'd like to buy some food, if we'd like to barter some food, if we'd like to grow some food, if we'd like to sell some food. That there's places where we can do all of that. Building upon Abby's focus at Nutrition Blocs on children, the school food programs are starting to be invested in by the federal government and other governments, and that's a core so that all children have good meals in their school day, and that it is, as Abby pointed out, without ability to discriminate who's paying and who isn't. But we need that in all of our institutions so that we have public grocery stores. I encourage everyone to look into that so that it's not just that we have maybe some food that comes to us, once or twice a month, but that we all have the ability to have affordable, good food accessible to all of us. And that's an investment that we make as a community and take the profit out of food so that we can access it on a daily basis throughout the year. And I think Dignity First looks like meal sharing, so that it breaks social isolation that many of us feel, regardless of our age or when we arrived on these lands or if we are Indigenous, but that we share meals together across our ages, and that if we can pay that day, then we pay that day. And if we can't, then we receive some food that day. But we know that everyone understands that we each have something to give and we each need things from others in our food system. So we are all givers and receivers. And I feel like that is where we're building communities. That is with dignity.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that response. Dr. Maram.
Yeah, I think they, give the good answers for this question more than me is, but I'll try to say, like, if you ask me that question, I could say that I think it should be focused on treating people like as individuals rather than simply recipients of assistance. It would give like families more choice and flexibility in food they receive and make services easy to access it. It also involves listening to the voices of people using these services and understanding their real needs, as what actually food deliver did with us. Always like updating and always asking about what you need, more than give us the priority of things that you demanded more. So for me dignity means providing support with compassion and respect so that people feel valued and welcomed. It should not only address hunger, but also help people to feel connected to their community. And again, I would say that what Food Deliver organization did with us, actually. I can say it's not just you are support us with food or just give us assistance. No, it's more meaningful for us. More than that, it's not only the food that you support or give us. No, it's like we feel that we are welcomed. We are between our friends. We are between our other families that we lost it. So this is, for me, it's more precious than the amount or the quantity of food that you serve it to us.
Thank you very much for your feedback, Dr. Maram. It's our pleasure to serve you and our clients.
Appreciate it.
We see this as our duty. Thank you very much. We're super happy that you're satisfied with our services. So I'll move on to our last question. So then this is for all of you. If you could change one thing about how we support newcomer families facing food insecurity, what would it be?
Do you want me to go first, Ali?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you again for everyone. And Mo, we need to do this more often together because we're almost finishing each other's thought, reading each other's minds. I love it. And that's what, for me, alignment looks like, collaboration looks like, is when we understand each other. So yeah, so coming back to how do we create, you know, programs that support newcomer families in Ottawa. And for me, it's like, you know, how do you design services? There's about 200 organizations in our food ecosystem. And when you ask them, most of them will say we're addressing food insecurity. There's a gap in our system, we're addressing that. For me, addressing something is doing the bare minimum. For me, at Nutrition Blocs, we are striving to go beyond that addressing. We want to close the gap. We want to create programs that are closing the gap so more and more families are coming out of being food insecure and they feel secure. I mean, Mo's idea of public grocery stores, making programs accessible all through the year and not once a month or twice a month. That is what I think about. I also think when you talk about equity, accessibility, affordability, from my perspective, currently 1 in 4 children in Ottawa, a capital city of a G7 nation, 1 in 4 children live in a food insecure household. For perspective, that's about 40,000 children, school age children, are coming to school hungry every single day. I do not want to create a program for that 1 in 4. I want to create a program where all children have access to a healthy, nutritious, culturally appropriate meals. Only then, because if you create a program just for those 1 in 4, those 1 in 4 will not access that program because of the stigma and the shame attached to that. We want every single child to access those programs. The 3 in 4 is the solution to addressing the problem that 1 in 4 children are facing. When everyone accesses that program and families like me will participate, will pay into the program, and that will generate enough revenue to support the 1 in 4, where nobody has to know who's paying and who's not paying. Uh, if I were to change, I think what we need from our policymakers, whether it's a municipal, provincial, or federal, we want these governments to mandate, like some of the other countries. Canada is the only developed nation that does not have a mandated national school meal program. We need to change that.
Can I just follow that up with another question, Abby? What do you think has caused Canada to lag behind others, the others?
You know, I'm gonna maybe give that question to Mo because she probably, I'm a relatively newcomer. I have studied these things, but Mo probably has a much better understanding and authority on why Canada is lagging so behind. So
Okay.
Mo, on to you.
I'll give it a try, but welcome people to comment in the comment section as well. I mean, we do now have, for the first time, a national school food program that is now rolling out. It is not sufficient, but it just became a national program in 2025, I believe. So very, very late compared to other countries worldwide. It's one of the first social programs to roll out in decades, actually, and it is because of the grassroots organizing that took place for decades to bring that to fruition. Some other countries had school programs come, for example, the United States came through their Ministry of Defense. So there's some sort of, different ways that school food programs came to be. I think that it goes back to my initial comments where, well, if you're hungry, then food banking was the solution that Canada was investing in and promoting. And I think that it's due to these types of talks, conversations that have happened over the past few decades that have given rise to more voice to say that we want something different. And part of that difference, I'll just add onto my answer here. The question was, what one thing we could suggest for supporting newcomer families? And we have to be clear that there is no one silver bullet. We need a whole complex solution, but I will say 3 quick things. One is we need household income within both social programs and livable wages, regardless of where you or your family lies on the citizenship journey. to reach a minimum level under which no one falls. And that has to be indexed to the cost of food and housing. We need food literacy as 100% core curriculum in all schools so that no one graduates without understanding our food system, what we can do, all the ways that we can contribute and need to contribute, and that no one graduates without knowing how to grow and cook food. That will transform food insecurity for newcomer families and our broader community. And the last thing is to create an edible landscape where people have equitable access to land, safe seeds, and the means to grow food of choice everywhere throughout our city. And we can do these three things. This is doable and happening, and we need stronger voices to push this into being.
Thank you for that. So we already have comments in the chat, and perhaps Susanna, if you don't mind, monitor that. And once Dr. Maram shares her response, so we can maybe go through that, and then the audience can certainly ask questions. Dr. Maram, go right ahead.
For me as a recipient or a newcomer, I would just say we can, if it should change one thing, I would say improve the access to information for newcomers families. Many people arrive in Canada without knowing what services are available or how to access them. So providing information in multiple languages and reaching out to newcomer communities can make support much more accessible. Okay, and when families know where to go for help, and where they can feel welcomed, it becomes easier for them to build stability and confidence as they start a new life. That's actually what we did. Like I heard about your organization from one of my friends, and I give her, you have to contact them, or you have to go around and say about this food deliver organization. They give support. So maybe lack of information or lack of the way of contact in it, maybe this is if it could be improved or changed, it will be more accessible for many newcomers family. And that's I think, in my opinion, I think that's the thing what to change.
Thank you for that. Definitely, platforms like this are also helpful, whereby individuals can join and learn about the various different services that are offered. So that brings us to the end of the questions, and I do want to leave enough time for the audience to comment, ask questions. I can already see Karen has left some comments. Karen, feel free to unmute and share your thoughts, or if anybody else has questions, go right ahead. All right. Okay. Well, I have questions. Never mind. Magdalene, please go ahead. By the way, I just wanted to quickly introduce Magdalene. She is the ED of OLIP, the organization responsible for us participating as part of the Welcoming Ottawa Week. Thank you very much, Magdalene, for organizing this useful event. Yes, go right ahead. You're mute.
All right, sorry, still saying you're on mute. Like, how many years are we doing this now? So, first of all, I want to thank you, Ali, for organizing it. It is true that OLIP kind of set 2 weeks in Ottawa for Welcoming Ottawa Week, and you really took the initiative to bring your initiative forward. The issue, and Abby as well, I want to thank you for being on this panel. And Mo, I've really learned a lot and appreciate the insights that you guys are bringing. We must never underestimate what we don't know. until Abhijit started this whole initiative around food insecurity, to be honest with you, even though, you wonder as a human being, is everybody getting fed? Is everybody okay? But I was very poorly informed of the reality of Ottawa. And through his work, and now through Ali's work in helping us as a public understand what's going into Ottawa, it has really changed my perception of nutrition, of food insecurity with children, but also leaves the very big question behind: why is the current situation not being addressed at a municipal level, at a provincial level, and at a national level? So while I applaud all of the work that people like Abby and Ali and other people responding to food insecurity they're doing, I really want to beg the conversation at a policy level, because this should not be left to chance. Right now, we are missing a lot of people. Abby's work is only going to continue to deal with a certain small population. Ali's work will continue to work with a small population. What we need is good policies to ensure that the food insecurity issue is not left to chance, but it is left to proper channeling, not just of information, but the resources that need to ensure that children, and not just children, people on the whole, have access to nutritious food, and vulnerable groups are not robbed of their dignity because of it. So I just want to thank you for your team at Food Delivery, and Abby for your work, and Moe for the work that you're doing. And to say on OLIP, we're really proud that this conversation is happening, and we are looking forward to dialoguing more and being a greater part of what you are doing. Thank you so much.
If I could just quickly take thank you, Magdalene, again, for inviting me on Monday, and then Ali for this. But just to add to that conversation, and I was reading through Karen's comments, right? Yes, I mean, every child, every family deserves to have access. Food is something that impacts every one of us 3 times a day. So it's not something that you address once a week. You need food 3 times a day. And there is an economic argument when I talk about school meal programs, right? There is plenty of research that shows when children are provided a meal, I mean, yes, they're going to be more healthy. There's going to be better behavior, more academic outcomes are going to be better. They're going to contribute to the economy in a long-term basis. But today, if we provide school food or nutrition to children in school, that translates into roughly about $180 per child per month in saving for that family in grocery bills. So if you have 2 children in the public school system where children are receiving meals, that's about $350 that your family is going to save in grocery bills that you can now spend on other needs in your family. So it's not just the health outcomes or the nutritional outcomes for the child, but there's also that economic support that you're indirectly providing to that family.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely. We do have, just being conscious of time, we do have some comments and questions. Susan, do you wanna go over those?
Yeah, of course. We have a question from Tonia Pomeranz. She's asking, are food and housing considered human rights?
Okay. In 30 seconds or less.
I can take a start at that, just to say that food is recognized as a human right under international law that Canada has signed on to, but it is not a legal, enforceable, guaranteed right within the Canadian Constitution. So we have international obligations. We have some policy, but it is not even, we don't have a comprehensive strategy and a built-in Canadian stated right. But one of the things that I'll just use this opportunity, because this was going to be my final comment, is that what I believe we need to do is change the language. Rights are really important, but to me, what's more important is the responsibilities. So every person having enough good food every day to live a healthy, vibrant life is a responsibility for all of us towards each other. So we each have a responsibility for good food to each other. And so our colleague brought up the issue of food policy. I left some links for people to get involved with food policy change. Just Food is a systems change organization that helps to connect people across the jurisdictions on policy change, as well as doing things on the ground here. But it's really important, I think, for all of us to share our talents and our knowledge and create that environment for all of us and for our next generation. So really appreciated the time to talk about that today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who has joined. I'm cautious of time. I would like to just put a side note here for any individual or family joining us. If you or your family is having difficulty affording enough food and would like to learn more about food delivery and the services that we provide, food support in a dignified way, our client relations manager's information is in the chat, Mr. Samer Saidam. So please feel free to reach out to him, and we can definitely schedule a conversation with you. Aside from that, we have 2 more minutes. I want to quickly go through the closing remarks. And if there is anything else that the speakers would like to add, you're more than welcome to. I do want to thank you, all the panelists, for sharing their insights, experiences, and perspectives. And thank you to everyone who has joined us today. Today's discussion highlighted that food support is more about food, and more than just about food. It is also about dignity, culture, choice, belonging, and ensuring that families can access support in ways that respect their circumstances and strengths. At Food Deliver, we believe every family deserves access to nutritious, culturally appropriate food delivered with dignity and discreetly. We look forward to continuing this conversation and working with community partners such as Nutrition Blocs and Just Food to build a more inclusive and responsive food support system for newcomer families. And on that note, it's a few seconds before 1 o'clock. Abby, Dr. Maram, Moe, any final thoughts, any closing remarks?
I said my last one, so please, Abby and
I would like to thank Food Deliver for their great services. You know that I really appreciate their hard work and efforts to make our as newcomers feeling friendly and feeling welcome. So thank you so much for your support and good services. I would also thank Mr. Samer, who's the volunteer and who's the one who always trying to serve us with the assistance with a pleasure and with a friendly way. He's a helpful person, he's a respectful person. I really appreciate his work with us. Thank you for everyone. Thank you for giving us this chance to just contribute in this panel. Thank you, Mr. Ali, for that amazing job. Thank you everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maram. We see it the other way at Food Deliver. We thank you for letting us serve you. That's our energy. That's what fuels our energy to keep going. Thank you very much. And Abby?
Yeah, thank you. And the issue of food insecurity, it's one of those complex issues, and I don't believe any single agency will be able to solve it. The only way this gets solved is through collaboration and collective impact, and conversations like these are very necessary. I'm glad we're doing it in Welcoming Ottawa Week, but we need to do more of these all through the year, bring more organizations, policymakers, folks like Ms. Maram, who's impacted by this, and we need to hear those voices. And the call for action needs to be, let's not just talk about it, let's get together and let's do something about it. And I think that's my effort with Nutrition Blocs. When we started, in spite of having those 200 organizations in the sector, we said, we're going to find those gaps and we're going to design programs that are going to close those gaps. So that's what I think we need, is more collaboration.
Absolutely. Collaboration is absolutely the key. I hope that this conversation continues. We're very happy that it was well received. And I think this is an indication to us as a player in the food security system here to continue these conversations. So definitely more to come. And we look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you very much. Thanks again, Magdalene, for creating this platform for us to share and learn. And that's it for us. Thank you. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Ellie.